I can't say enough about it. It helped me grow my business. It helped me get over the $2 million mark, no doubt.
If you feel there's something you're really passionate about and you really want to do, that's usually going to be the timing.
Amazing female entrepreneurs and creatives, they essentially find each other and exchange their goods and services.
So I realized in that moment that I needed to create a mask for after the mask.
Welcome everybody to Passage to Profit. This is Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt. And we're here tonight talking about entrepreneurs, inventors, and the intellectual property that helps them flourish. Our guest presenters tonight will be Chris Rosica, who is a marketing and PR expert and who has recently promoted a new book called The Authentic Brand. And in addition to that, he has a new book coming out called The Business of Cause Marketing. Also with us in our executive spotlight will be Michelle Ricketts. Michelle is a business consultant and she is the owner of Cohesion Services powered by Wardell Industries. And she has more than 20 years of experience working in the field of coaching. And she's going to tell us how she can help companies grow and also do the happy dance whenever it's time for, whenever I guess there's a big celebration.
Yes, and do you want to do some bartering, but you're not really sure how or if there are rules around it? Stay tuned because we have someone that can help you with that. Her name is Tata Tickaradze, and you really want to hear what she has to say. And then what do you do after you've been wearing a mask all day? And we're not talking about the Lone Ranger mask. You know what I'm talking about, the N95 or other masks like that.
Or a Halloween mask for that matter.
Yeah. And your skin is like not the way you want it to be on the lower half of your face. Maybe you've got lines or it doesn't match the upper. Anyway, our presenter, Jordan Bollebrook, has a solution for that. So stay tuned.
That all sounds fantastic. But before we go to our guests, of course, it's time for IP in the news. So what do we have teed up on this show?
Well, we have our interesting patent. This patent issued in 1984. Very interesting invention. It was invented by a man named Ronald J. Muska, and it was definitely invented for the holidays. Someone who may want to be kissed under the mistletoe, but can't find any, or maybe has to chase people around. I don't know. Anyway, what his invention is, and you can see this on our social media, is a piece of mistletoe hanging down from a headband so that you can take your mistletoe with you and kiss anyone you want.
So first of all, in my opinion, it looks a little dorky. And for our radio listeners, it's a wire headband that goes around your head, and then it has like a fork that sticks up and goes over your head. And our viewers on YouTube will be able to see a picture of the patent. But it's not too hard to imagine. And he's got the mistletoe dangling. And I'm not even sure that like you could do that in this day and age. I think as a lawyer, I'd have to advise that you get your consent from the kissed party before you do anything, right?
Well, yes, but it's not totally useless if you can't use it for that, because he does say in the abstract, the headband may also be used for supporting other decorative or novelty items.
So you could put
walk
anything
around,
on there.
yeah, with the, I don't know what you would have dangling, maybe a piece of food.
Or a Christmas ornament, maybe, a holiday ornament.
Anyway, so just wanted to say, Americans are always inventing. If you have an invention, go for it. I mean, he may have sold these, I don't know, but what a fun thing, right?
Absolutely. And so also in IP in the news, it's time now for a little information on trademarks. So as you know, you can trademark a name or a logo. Those are the most common types of trademarks, but there are other types of trademarks too that you can file for. So did you know that you can file for a trademark on a particular smell?
Don't even want to comment on that.
Well, you can. You can also file for a trademark on a color. Did you know that?
I did not. So I thought these kinds of things were covered more by copyright than trademark.
Well, in some cases, if you want to file a copyright on it, it has to reach a certain level of activity. So simply copywriting a color is probably not going to work. But there are companies that have filed trademarks on particular colors.
Like who?
I just happen to have a few examples here. So you can trademark, for example, Nestle has filed a trademark on the orange Reese's wrapper. So nobody else can use that orange color on candy. The bright purple that you see at the T-Mobile stores in the mall, that's also been trademarked by T-Mobile. And in fact, they've actually been very vigorous in enforcing people who are using that color purple in connection with cell phones. So that bright purple you see is off limits if you happen to be interested in opening a cell phone company. Post-its made by 3M, everybody knows what Post-its are. Well, the Post-it yellow has also been trademarked by 3M. And you can use that yellow for anything but Post-its. So trademarks depend on the goods that they're associated with. And also United Parcel Service, UPS, that brown is trademarked. So the trucks and the uniforms are both trademarked by United Parcel Service. And finally, given that it's the holiday season now, we have the little blue box from Tiffany. Of course, the name Tiffany is also trademarked, but the color of the box, which is the light blue, has also been trademarked by Tiffany. So how about that?
Nice. Those are beautiful boxes too.
They are. And who wouldn't want to receive a pretty blue box from Tiffany's? And the examples go on and on. You may be wondering, well, how can you get a trademark on a color? Because there's so many out there. Well, what you have to do is you have to prove to the trademark office that the color has secondary meaning, which means that the color and the product are so closely associated in the minds of the purchasing public that it becomes distinctive, and therefore you have secondary meaning. So getting a color on a trademark on color is difficult. You have to submit customer surveys. You have to prove to the trademark office that that color really is connected to that product in the minds of consumers.
So you probably don't start out with those trademarks with your business, but as your business grows and your brand becomes more recognizable, then that's when you do it. So when you're starting out, trademarking your name or your logo is probably the best thing to start with.
Absolutely. You've got it. And most of these companies are bigger companies, so they have the distribution and the brand awareness that a lot of entrepreneurs don't. But as you're moving forward with your marketing strategy, it's something to keep in the back of your head. So
Excellent.
That's good. So now we're going on to our first guest this evening. So our guest speaker tonight is Chris Rosica. Chris is the president and CEO of Rosica Communications, a PR and marketing communications firm. He's passionate about entrepreneurs and helping them communicate. Chris is a popular keynote speaker and author of The Authentic Brand, a book about cause marketing, and his new book, soon to be released, The Business of Cause Marketing, will tell you how to implement cause marketing in your business. Welcome, Chris. Welcome to the show. And so tell us, what is cause marketing?
Cause marketing is the partnership between a for-profit and a not-for-profit. And it's generally, there's a pure motive. The entrepreneur wants to get involved with a nonprofit and give back. But it's really there's a for-profit motive that is, we believe, is totally ethical, especially if it's married with the pure motive. So cause marketing is the partnership between a for-profit and a not-for-profit, with the ultimate goal of mutual publicity, promotion, and benefit.
Are you seeing a movement toward more cause marketing? Because just looking at a lot of the advertising that I see now, there seems to be a fair amount of cause marketing.
Well, I've seen a big spike since COVID hit, and that's primarily due to the fact that the public really expects companies to step up and to help others. The public is expecting a lot from businesses these days. It's a very small percentage of monies donated donated to nonprofits that are given by companies. It's individuals that give more than 80% of all donations to nonprofits. So now the public is saying, hey, step up, be socially responsible, give back, donate products. If you have PPE, for instance, if you're selling PPE, donate those products to frontline caregivers, as an example. So the expectation is greater now than it was certainly prior to the pandemic.
Say you're growing your business and you're to the point where you want to form one of these partnerships. Do you just cold call, like, I don't know, ASPCA or some charity, and say, I want to partner with you? Or do you need an introduction? How does that work?
The Business of Cause Marketing, it is available now on Amazon, but it outlines the whole process by which you select a cause partner. It's really helpful to pick a cause that you're passionate about first and foremost. Another key ingredient is not necessarily picking a charity that's a logical fit. So if you're a food company, you don't always have to pick, say, a food pantry. So because the most important aspect is the authenticity of the story. For instance, there's an entrepreneur who we've represented for quite a while, and his mom died from ovarian cancer. We, as a result of that whole experience, he became passionate about helping ovarian cancer. Now, he sells cooking products. That's what he does for a living. And the partnership with the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance meant more to him and his company because of that real connection, that genuine connection, than, say, a donation of his pots and pans and other cooking products to, say, Habitat for Humanity that were outfitting homes for people moving into houses for the first time.
Your recommendation, I think, is for people who want to participate in cause marketing to have a real connection with the cause and make it real. And then I think that's great, because we're always looking for sources of motivation, and certainly helping a favorite charity can add to an entrepreneur's motivation. So.
Right. And what's really another important consideration is that most consumers prefer to do business with companies that are cause involved, that are giving back. So the most recent survey indicated that almost 90% of women would select one product or service over another if the products or services were comparable, and the prices were comparable, and one was involved in a cause. They would prefer to do business with the one that was involved with the charity. And what was even more telling was that almost 70% would pay more for that product or service because of its involvement with a charitable organization. So consumers care, and that means business should care as well.
Well, I have to admit, I'm part of that 90%. So I do most of my online shopping on Amazon Smile, where part of the proceeds go. I chose the ASPCA because I love animals. And so that's where I go first, because I know they're going to give money to help animals. How much do you have to give? Like, if you're just starting a business and you don't have a huge marketing budget, I guess this would come out of your marketing piece. How much do you have to give to start?
So glad you asked that question, because our belief is that it's not about the money that you give. It's really not about the money that you give. So if you're a products company, give product. If you have a particular expertise, you say you're in the services business and you do marketing like we do at my agency, right? Give your services to a nonprofit and partner in a meaningful way. So it's not about the money that you give, it's about the impact that you make with that nonprofit organization.
So, we've had a lot of advertisers do a lot of cause marketing with us, obviously, because with everything with COVID going on, we've had a lot of brands that have pivoted or shifted their traditional advertising messages to cause marketing messages to align with what's happening with the pandemic. What advice would you give to brands or advertisers in terms of how they position themselves with their messaging so that they're able to align with a cause, but they're also able to stand out? Because I've seen such a flooded marketplace with the COVID messaging, and it all starts to sound the same. So what advice would you give to brands who are looking to try to stand out with their messaging?
We realized a number of years ago was that you don't want to certainly do what everyone else is doing, and you don't want to do it in the way that others are doing it. Thus, the reason for the comment earlier about not always wanting to pick the most logical cause. So if there's a story behind it, that's what really matters. And there are a number of examples I could give. One is probably the first cause marketing program I ever worked on, which was with Wally Amos, Famous Amos Cookies. And Wally, his cause celeb was adult functional illiteracy. So his mission was to help stop that social ill. And he did that by partnering with Literacy Volunteers of America and helping to spread the word about adult functional illiteracy to really unite local government, NGOs, and volunteer organizations to come together to help adults learn to read. 1 in 5 adults in America cannot read. And that stat was true back then, and it's true today, unfortunately. So by partnering him with this whole cause of literacy, it created the Famous Amos brand, literally created the brand. Now, why would you think a chocolate chip cookie and a literacy organization, how could those two possibly be married? And the reason is that Wally Amos was a high school dropout, and he got his GED. And when he got his GED, he realized how important reading and education was to him, and he was a self-educated man. But he learned through those experiences that the importance of reading, and made that his mission. And he married that mission with his mission to promote the best cookie on the planet. So that's an example. And literally the cover of People magazine, the cover of Time magazine, Good Morning America, the Today Show, everywhere he went, he talked about literacy. So it was a powerful and compelling story, but it was a genuine story based on that man's experience.
Wow.
He was a high school dropout, right?
So I'm going to flip the coin a little bit. For example, there are certain charities that I just prefer not to support, right? And it has to do with that in the past, some of them have put a lot of money to the overhead and the salaries of the charities rather than actually giving money to people that really needed it. So if I see somebody supporting a charity like that, that would probably be a turnoff to me. So when you're doing cause marketing, are there things that are there sort of rules to go by that that kind of might guide an entrepreneur to minimize the impact of that kind of situation?
Research the ideal charity partner. And again, I have a whole section in the book on that very topic. One of the things that I believe in low administrative rates as well, low administrative costs. So personally, I'm involved with the Salvation Army because they have one of the lowest in the nation. And I'm involved with Boys and Girls Clubs for the very same reason. And I do that as a volunteer, and I do that with my dollars because, again, they have really low admin costs and they provide direct services to those in need. So that's my personal belief. Now, I think it's really important to also differentiate what we do personally and what we do with our companies. For instance, there's an entrepreneur who we've worked with for a number of years that wanted to get involved and give to a woman's shelter. And we said, go ahead and do that. That should be part of, if that's part of your personal mission, what's most important to you, by all means. that is not necessarily the ideal cause to partner with for a cause marketing relationship, because part of a cause marketing relationship, part of the outcome is publicity, is social media. So the women who are in that shelter are afraid of, for their lives, and they will not go public. They will not do TV interviews. The shelter is concerned with protecting their well-being, right? Protecting them. So what we recommended was a different approach for the business, that one that could generate publicity, one that could generate a lot of buzz on social. So there's a real differentiation between what you do personally and what you do in a cause marketing relationship, which is business centric.
So you have to find the right combination of authenticity and also, business sense. I mean, I suppose there are some altruists out there who would just want to donate only for the purpose of donating. But there are others who are also looking to, reap commercial benefits from their charitable donations. So it's interesting that you need to consider the publicity angle of it if you're going to use the latter as opposed to the former.
The reason why I said the pure motive and the profit motive can be married, and they can both be alive and well in the same cause marketing program. I have a couple of really great examples. So there's a race car driver that we represented. He got up to the Indy car class, and which is the top of the food chain, obviously in the auto racing industry. And we partnered him with the Seeing Eye Foundation in Morristown, New Jersey. And you wouldn't think a race car driver would be supporting a cause that trains dogs to help the blind. But the reason how that happened was when in town, he stayed at our house. He was visiting with us. And that morning we were having coffee, and he had a patch over one eye. And the question came, why are you wearing the patch? He was training his eyes, because when you're doing 200 plus miles an hour around turns, your eyesight needs to be really, you need really good eyesight.
It needs to be pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the inspiration for the partnership with the Seeing Eye Foundation, the strategy that we developed. And as a result of that, and we took a Seeing Eye dog in his race car around the track. And he was on the cover of Parade magazine. And not only did Sears give him a sponsorship in the millions to sponsor his car, but a couple in Seattle bequeathed $1 million to the Seeing Eye. So that's pretty cool.
Great.
So when we say that the profit motive and the pure motive can go hand in hand, by doing good, you can do well. And by doing good, you can inspire others to do good. We've seen that so many times. So yeah, there's nothing selfish about it. It's almost like it magnifies. It's a magnifying effect. When you give and you tell the story about it, others are inspired to in turn give.
Right. Well, and big companies have always been recognized for their contributions, like MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, for where the New York teams play.
I guess that's a charitable contribution if you have the Jets and the Giants, but
especially this year.
Record.
But I mean, anytime a big company has donated or done something like Ronald McDonald House for McDonald's, all that, they get a lot of publicity around it. So this has been around for years, just not necessarily available to the smaller companies and entrepreneurs like it is now with your agency, right?
Well, it's really, you bring up a great point, Elizabeth, because we have seen small companies try and partner with behemoth charities, and they get lost. Mm-hmm. They don't really have a story to tell. The other thing is that the behemoth causes often won't be as flexible as the up and coming charitable organization. So we like up and comers. We like local chapters of national nonprofits. So when we partner our clients with the Salvation Army, we do it at a local level. We did it in San Francisco, we did it in New York, as opposed to doing it across the board nationally, because unless you are a Walmart, which does a great job of supporting many causes, including the Salvation Army, they do it on a national level. Unless you're a Walmart, you're going to kind of get lost in the story. So yeah, pick local chapters of national charitable organizations and pick up and coming charities, ones that maybe have not gotten the exposure and are looking for the exposure. So you have a cause marketing partnership story to tell.
So Chris, tell us a little bit about your business, your practice. Are you a solopreneur? Do you have a team behind you? How do you run your business?
So I have a public relations and corporate communications agency that we have a team of people. So that team has been as big as 22, and now we're at about the 10 to 12 in that range, 10 full-time and 2 part-time. And then in 2008, I co-founded a digital marketing agency called Interact Marketing, and that company has 20 full-time employees. So there's the PR agency, and then there's the digital marketing agency.
Great.
The focus is really on the PR and corporate communication side. The focus is healthcare, nonprofits, food and beverage, education. So those are really the core sectors that we work in. And on the digital marketing side, we probably represent right now 18 or 19 different industries. So it's more diverse.
If an entrepreneur is out there, they want to build a digital communications company or a PR company, what do they need to do in order to make that happen?
If we saw a shift a number of years ago from it being mostly a word of mouth business build, where we got our clients from other clients, we got our clients from people we knew, to then because I started a digital marketing agency in 2008, we started to employ search engine optimization and search engine marketing tactics. And we then generated more than 80% of our business from internet marketing. So I think it's a combination of the two: leverage the network and use organic search optimization, some paid search as well. And you can, by building content, quality content, you can drive organic search traffic. So that's really the ultimate goal. Instead of paying per click, drive traffic organically to your site. And of course, you want that to be qualified traffic. But those are some of the things that have really helped us to not only maintain our incoming leads to our website, but quality leads as well.
So how did you know when it was time to add a new person? How did you know when it was time to add a new team member?
In the PR business, we have a peer-to-peer learning group. It's called the Croft Society. And these are independent PR agency owners from around the country. I happen to have been one of the founding members of that organization. And it's really one of the best ways of getting input. And I learned from the Croft Society the key metrics I needed to look at that would help me determine when to hire the next person. So that's essential, having that peer-to-peer. I also was involved with the Young Entrepreneurs Organization, which is now called EO.
Right.
I was the president of the New York chapter of EO, New York City chapter. There's one in Albany as well. And that too, by having that peer-to-peer experience, and it was non-competitive, and it was just people helping people. Entrepreneurs best know how to help another entrepreneur. So those are things that have made a huge impact on my business, helped me to understand the numbers that I should be looking at, when to take risks, and no one can give you the answers in terms of that. That's that's really a moving target, but you can bounce things off of a CEO or an entrepreneur group and find out what their experiences were and learn from those, right, before jumping in and maybe risking too much.
But that's really a great comment. And it's not one that we often hear on the show, where people are recommending peer-to-peer networks, but it makes all the difference in the world when you can talk with other people who are business leaders and have been, fought a lot of battles and can give you different perspectives on, what your challenges are, things like hiring, how to work with employee if there's an employee issue, it's a great resource, and it's also good because you learn that you're not the only one who's having some of these challenges, right? So those kinds of things can be really powerful.
And by the way, for EO, even if you're not doing you have to do $1 million in sales annually to be an EO, but they have a group it's like an incubator for smaller companies. So you can approach EO and say, look, I want to get into the track to be an EO member, and they can put you in a group that'll get you there if you're under $1 million. So there are options out there, and nobody is looking for anything. It's not like a business networking thing where
Right.
It's, oh, you give me a lead and I get a lead. And it's none of that. It's all about how can we grow our businesses and help one another in a really, mutually beneficial way, sharing those experiences.
When you leave a corporate job, all of a sudden you don't have any work friends anymore, right? Doing what you're doing. And so that's a lot of reason, I think, why people seek out these organizations, because here are people doing the same thing I'm doing. They're kind of like my work friends now. And we can talk about what's going right and what's going wrong, and, how this new legislation might affect our industry or what we're doing, or et cetera. But it gives you a camaraderie with other people doing what you're doing.
Yeah, it's a great thing. I can't say enough about it. It helped me grow my business. It helped me get over the $2 million mark, no doubt. When I started in YEO, I was, I had just passed the $1 million mark. And, I doubled in size within 5 years of joining that organization. And I believe that that just being in that environment with all of these creative entrepreneurs is essential. I can't be alone. I can't isolate with my problems and my ideas. I need to bounce them off of others, and it gives you that sounding board. It's like having your own board of directors when you're a small company.
So this has been a fantastic segment with Chris. We're going to have to take a commercial break, but we'll be right back with more Passage to Profit right after this message. Well, that was a fantastic segment from Chris, wasn't it?
It was. And if anybody missed it, our podcast will be out tomorrow on iHeart Podcast, and you can hear it there. And it was definitely worth listening to. And we have a lot more really interesting people coming up.
Yeah, we absolutely do. And one thing I liked about the cause marketing is after you've been in business for a long time, like we have, it adds an extra dimension of meaning to what you're doing. So especially as you mature in your career, you're looking for ways to give back. And Gerhardt Law is trying to give back by sponsoring this program. We've also made a number of donations and contributions to the community over the years. But I think having a specific cause or two, I think really does help the spirit of the team, and also makes the work even more meaningful for the entrepreneur. So
I spoke about my personal cause last week, St. Jude's Research Hospital for Children with Cancer. That was one of my Christmas presents, and you got a Christmas present for your personal cause.
Well, that's true. So one of the ones that we've sponsored for, I don't know how many years now, ever since we've been married, was Children International. So that has always been one of my favorite charities, because they send you cards of the children that you're helping. And so for many years we had one child, and then they switched it and gave it to another child. I guess the person wasn't a child anymore, so they didn't qualify for the program. But Elizabeth this year gave me a subscription to Shriners for children that have limbic differences. And we're very happy to be able to support these charities. And it's one of the great things about being an entrepreneur is that if you are financially successful, then you have options to spend money on things that mean something to you. And so for us, part of that is being helpful wherever we can. So our next guest speaker tonight is the Executive Spotlight, and that's Michelle Ricketts. And she's a business consultant and owner of Cohesion Services, powered by Wardell International. Wardell is an international business advisory firm that has worked with thousands of business owners in more than 15 countries. Michelle's mission is to transform clients' businesses to achieve their entrepreneurial dreams and do a happy dance regularly. So, Michelle, when do we get to do the happy dance?
Hopefully as often as possible.
So Michelle's coming to us from Vancouver, Canada. So when she says Wardell International, she means it.
Yes.
We ask our Executive Spotlight people to donate to a charity to be on the show. And she's had a few she's been supporting. So we're like, yeah, those are great charities. Keep doing that. So one of them is Twins Birthday Martial Arts Fundraiser for African Kids. And she can talk about that a little if she wants. And then a Night in Africa Gala. So she's really been trying to help other people all along. And it just kind of fits in with today's program.
Absolutely. And those two actually tie together. So the Night in Africa Gala was put on by a group that I am part of volunteering for. And I was the coordinator for the event, but it didn't start out that way. I started out just wanting to help out and just saw that they needed a coordinator. I was an event coordinator in part of my past life. And that tied in well. And then the twins' birthday, my twin brother and I decided that we would use our birthday to raise money for the organization. And so we did an online birthday and invited friends on Facebook and had cake and did trivia. And that was fun. So with our birthday, we raised, I think, just under $1,400 for them. And we also, I did over 100 hours with respect to the gala myself. So lots of involvement. I'm still involved with the group and we continue to see. And we're raising money originally for a school in Africa, in Uganda, but we pivoted and right now we're just helping them get through COVID-19 because they've been locked down there since March.
So lots of happy dances there, I bet.
Lots of happy dances, yes. Even a bit of regular dancing too going on there.
So when you and I spoke, we talked about something that a lot of entrepreneurs kind of miss, and it kind of hurts our businesses a little. So you give that missing element to entrepreneurs. Do you want to address that?
Yes, I think you're talking about moving from corporate to entrepreneurial journey. Exactly. I actually been in the corporate world 30 years in 3 different industries: media, transportation, logistics, and financial services, credit card processing. But I've been downsized, resized 3 times, whatever you want to call it, in my career, and most recently last year. So when you look at it to say, do I want to be an entrepreneur? My brother and sister have always been. And for me, I enjoyed being in the corporate world, and it often gets bashed. But if you like what you do and you enjoy getting up in the morning, there's nothing wrong with it. But after that opportunity last year, I didn't feel that way anymore. I had loved my work, but I thought, I want to do more with entrepreneurs, both the experience working with the charity, my previous event background and event business that I did. I did an event series, actually started in the 90s with events, but coming into 2017, 2018, I did an event series for entrepreneurs where I brought in speakers to provide their expertise so entrepreneurs could take that away, use in their business, and hopefully balance life, had more time off, have a 3-day weekend lifestyle. That was the brand. So looking at that, I thought I wanted to do more. And that's what I think a lot of people from the corporate world don't really realize, that to become an entrepreneur, you have to have that drive to do more or to do something that pulls at your heartstrings as well as the mental side of it. So that's where I was at that time.
Wow. That's a very powerful story. I was in the corporate world before we started Gerhardt Law, and Elizabeth, it was her idea. She said, these corporate jobs just aren't working for you, Richard. So she nudged me into starting the Gerhardt Law Firm, and it's been 15 years. And I would say that people think that being an entrepreneur is risky, but I think being in the corporate world can be just as risky, not only in terms of job security, but also in terms of mental health. If it's not a good fit for you, then you can spend a lot of time being very unhappy. And you hit the nail on the head. If you're happy, then that's great. But if you're not, then you can stay someplace you don't like for a long, long time just to get a paycheck. And I think that's a dangerous way to live.
Very much so, very much so. And you're so right, Richard. A lot of people do that. If you don't like getting up in the morning and looking at yourself in the mirror and going to work, you shouldn't be doing it. Change it. And that's really, for a lot of people, is the key. But then it's also finding what that next piece is, right, and having the support. As Chris talked about, you have the people behind you. But if you don't have that, you have to find out and figure out what that is. So that's where what I do as a consultant comes in, because we help people who are going through that journey. They've already started something, but they need more people behind them. They need that support of moving their business forward, whatever that looks like. And that's where we come in and we help.
Right. And in corporate, there are a lot of things that people don't like. But when you become a business owner, I think you understand that there are a lot of things that corporate does that really help people be successful in business. And somebody with a corporate background can say, yes, I know that you want to do things this way, but if you put a little bit of structure to it, like you had in corporate, I think it's going to help you in the long run. And that's some of the experience that you bring as well.
Absolutely. We have what Mark Wardell has developed, we call our value program, and that's looking at a solopreneur and who do they have involved with their business other than themselves, because it is very hard to scale and grow a business on one person. So then we look at what are those people doing? What processes and systems are they doing? I'm sure with COVID, there was a lot of businesses that whether you had somebody who wasn't able to get in or they got sick and it's okay, well, Sue, take over what Joe is doing. Well, what does Joe do again? It's because it's in Joe's head or it's in Joe's heart, but it's not down on paper. So moving a business forward to be able to grow and scale, and at some point taking the owner out of it, not that they don't want to be involved, but they don't have to be there every day. The business becomes self-sustaining. So that's where we take our owners through. That's the journey we take them on.
A great comment. You always need backup if you're going to be running your business, whether it's the accounting function, the marketing function, if you have an HR function, product delivery function, you always need a plan B because you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I'm a huge believer in documentation, and I'm telling people now, look, don't even write it down. Just when you're telling somebody how to do something, videotape it. We can get it transcribed, let's get all this down. So I know Chris has been very successful with this company. Did you have a question or comment for Michelle?
I really believe that the solopreneur is not just working alone in their business, but they feel like they're alone. And that there's nothing worse than that, like feeling like you just don't have anywhere to turn. So it not only provides that, the systems and all of the things that you mentioned, but to Richard's point, it provides the support that you need, because it's really not worth it feeling that overwhelmed, right? And it's hard. It's easier said than done. Oftentimes we're feeling that, and it does impact not only our business, but our health as well. So I just thought that what you're talking about is very timely, Michelle.
Thank you so much. And I'll just add to what Chris is saying there with the backup and the support, in that where I help my clients is in a group format. So it makes it both affordable for the entrepreneur, but it also gives that additional level of support because you get camaraderie within that group as you move forward. You can think of it as a strategic think tank, but we also do training within that. So you have that that greater support with the group, as well as what we bring to the table as a consulting group.
It's interesting that we're having this conversation because we just created or launched a Find Your Hustle series with Power 1051. And one of the initiatives, or a big part of that initiative, was helping people find their hustle. So people who may have been working in corporate America, who may have found themselves recently unemployed, or been looking to leave corporate America and transition into full-time entrepreneurship. We actually had a gentleman on there whose name is Sean Perez. He was an intern for Sean Combs. And I asked him, and I'm going to ask you the same question, what was the pivotal point that, or if someone finds themselves that they know they need to leave and become a full-time entrepreneur, and what does that process look like?
What I found is that for me, I was given the opportunity. So then you have to do something, because it's not you making the choice of the timing. But at the same time, it's great because I was already doing a little bit of something that I knew had value. And where the Wardell, powered by Wardell part comes in is I was able to reach out to a local organization who had been consulting for 20 years and use their program in my business. So for the entrepreneur, it's really finding what that piece is. And as you say, Kendra, it's not necessarily, it's timing. So for me, the timing, as I said, was forced. But for others, if you feel there's something you're really passionate about and you really want to do, that's usually going to be the timing. Or when you're getting up in the morning and not feeling happy about what you're doing, where you're going to work, that's the other piece. I could have gotten into the entrepreneurial game much sooner because I did have an event business on the side for many, many years, but I didn't feel that that's what was going to be my passion. My brother and sister said, oh, just jump in. You can do that, but it's not always the smartest thing. So it's that timing, really feeling, and then it's engaging with somebody that can help you. As Chris said, having that backing, having that support, and not thinking you have to do it all on your own.
That's really great. And I can't emphasize enough how important for starting entrepreneurs it is to get some training on the different functions of a business. So you may have a great product idea. You may have a vision of where you want to go, but you still need to understand how to read a balance sheet, need to understand your numbers. You need to know how to get your product noticed by marketing. You need to be able to convince people that they need your product. And those are like two minimum things that you really need to know. And then there's all the other infrastructure, the computers, the physical things. If you're manufacturing a product, then you have to get information about manufacturing. So getting an education in all of those areas when you're first starting out is critical, because you can avoid a lot of mistakes. So even though I had been an attorney for 15 years before starting Gearhart Law, I knew everything there was, or thought I knew everything there was about intellectual property law. I didn't really have the business background. And so I spent a lot of time trying to learn how to, I never had to land clients before. So I needed how to learn that. And I needed how learn how to do the finances and the taxes and all of those other things, the marketing and all of those things. And so I had a good solid core, but there was a lot that I needed to learn. So,
and that makes so much sense, Richard, because that's the piece that entrepreneurs often forget. People always think about the startups. They don't think about the person that's been in business for 3 or 5 years, because you're still kind of a startup until you're hitting that, that $1 million, that $2 million, that mark. So that's when businesses often need help as well, is to get over that next level. And they're putting their head down and they're moving forward and they're not getting anywhere because they don't have all that business acumen or business training or background that they need, that you're talking about. So it's not just the startup. Existing businesses need to think about investing in their business by actually engaging with consultants and training that they need.
It almost sounds too obvious to say, but one of the things that is so important is that if you want to grow your business, you have to have the money to grow it. So you have your time, but you also have money. So if you want to expand your business, you have to have enough money left over after your expenses and after your personal bills to spend more on marketing, or spend more on hiring, or spend more on accounting or software. So you have to make a profit. If you just take money out of the business all the time for yourself, you're never going to have the money to invest to grow it. And so that is also a major part when you're doing your planning. You need to account for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had a quick question about, Richard brought up a good point about hiring. When do you know it's time to hire people? And like, how do you know you're ready? Like, what are some signs?
Absolutely. Well, it's interesting is right now with the group I'm working with currently, we just finished looking at hiring, and we're doing personnel reviews, employee reviews. But it's a great question, because a lot of times it's hard to know. But I would say even at the beginning, there are things that a business owner shouldn't be doing themselves. And Richard mentioned a few of them. Law absolutely is definitely one, but accounting, bookkeeping is another, because most people don't have expertise in those areas. So those are kind of a given as soon as you can. But for others, it's really having that ability, and it doesn't have to be an employee. It can be a contracted person. It can be outsourcing and using other services that provide part-time opportunities. It can be collaborations, joint ventures. So adding people to your business doesn't have to mean you have to hire them. So that's the first thing. And then it's looking at how much do you need and what's your expertise. We always talk about the fact that one of the things entrepreneurs have to realize is their expertise is in whatever their core business is, or service or product. It's not in everything else. So as soon as you can add people to do those other things, that is their expertise, you want to do that. You also want to make sure that you are realizing what you are not good at. And you may like it, but if you're not good at, I like social media. I enjoy social media. I'm not great at it. It's something that I have to have other people do. So you really want to be able to add people in those different ways to make sure that it's benefiting your business as you move forward.
Fantastic advice, Michelle, and we're really happy that you made it to our show this evening. Where can people contact you again?
The greatest place to get me is on LinkedIn, and just look up Michelle Ricketts on LinkedIn. And also they could reach me, michelle.ricketts@cohesionservices.com.
Well, thank you for your words of wisdom. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Passage to Profit with Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt on WOR 710, the voice of New York. And we'll be right back after this commercial break. Welcome back, everybody. This is Passage to Profit, and we've had a great show so far this evening. And right now, we're going to move to our Power Move segment with Kenya GIPSON. She is our iHeartMedia maven. And who do you have teed up for us this evening, Kenya?
So today on Power Move, we're going to talk about Gia Casey. And Gia Casey, for those of you who are not familiar with her, she is the wife of DJ Envy on The Breakfast Club, who is down the hall from us here at iHeart. And she was just featured on Oprah's own network it was the women behind the man, right? And it was a series about successful men and the women behind them. And one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about her is a lot of times, women don't get the credit they deserve. You see the successful husband, you see the guy who's made it, but you don't necessarily see the woman that is there supporting him along the way. And I kind of hate that term, behind the man, but for whatever reason they chose to go with that. But I wanted to highlight her because she has such a powerful story of just, tragedy and triumph, and how she's really been able to build the foundation of their family, which has alluded to a lot of the success that they've been able to experience as a couple. They also have a podcast together on the iHeart platform called The Casey Crew. So a lot of times people, don't see what's going on behind the scenes that allude to someone else's success. And she's also been able to build a platform to highlight her family, talk about their faith, and really just be there as a support system for her husband that really has, pushed his career to the next level. So if you haven't gotten an opportunity to check out that series on OWN, it's super good. I watched it twice. And it's about DJ Envy and his wife, Gia, and that's our power move for today.
I think in a great marriage, both partners contribute to each other's lives and their careers. And I don't know, I would consider that our case, if I don't brag a little bit too much, but so that sounds like a great program, and it can go either way, right? Nowadays things are changing, and men can support women just like women support men. So I think
They could do a behind every woman.
There
series.
you go.
Is a trail of undone laundry.
So that's great. So speaking of entrepreneurial pursuits and men supporting women, how is Fireside going these days?
Well, I'm still working on it. I need to get some help. So hopefully after the holidays, I can get some help. I'm really planning to really work on the back end of it during the holidays, but I continue to really enjoy it. And Michelle has done a video with me. Kenya has, and I just really enjoy the people that I'm talking to for this project. And I have talked to some people that just want to send me videos. To Michelle's point, I can't do everything myself. So if I can find people that are better at interviewing and doing videos than I am, which there are many, then use that, right? So that's kind of my next step, is to find the videos from another place, still do the ones I need to do, but just really work on building out the website and then getting them on my YouTube channel too. So building up what can attract people to the site.
So for our listeners who are just joining us for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about Fireside and what the purpose is?
I guess I skipped that part this time, didn't I? So Fireside Directory is the first online video directory of small businesses. My vision, so my part of contributing to a company is really, I'm more the visionary, and I don't know if I'm really that great at anything else, but my vision for this is that it would be the Wikipedia of small business by video. So every small business, not just in this country, but everywhere, would be on a site where people could go and they could find a video about the person talking about their business and then decide whether or not they want to work with them. So people are online all the time. They don't necessarily want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, but they want to see what the person's like. So this gives them a little taste. And for the business owner, it gives them more qualified leads. So you don't have people calling you that have never heard you speak before. So
it's a great idea. And if you're an entrepreneur, it'll save you time. Video is the wave of the future. And it's easier to do a video and put it in a directory than maybe integrate it into your website. You can go into a lot of detail about who you are and what your offering is. So it's a great business tool. And I encourage everyone to get out there and use it. So
right. And anybody who wants to do a video with me, I'm not charging anything for the videos or to be on the site because I'm building. And so it's not to the point where I need it to be, where I feel like I can take money from people for it. Although I have had people that want to pay me for it. So go figure.
Never say no to that. But,
right. So anybody that wants to do it, just, contact me. I'm on LinkedIn. You can find me all over the place.
On to our next segment of the show. What's coming up next?
Oh, this is really cool. So beyond eBay, there's bartering, and I don't know anything about it. That's why I'm really interested in what Tata has to say. So our next presenter, Tata Tickaradze, is going to talk about that. So welcome, Tata.
Hi, thank you guys so much for having me. Super excited to be here. So my name's Tata Tickaradze. I'm based in Los Angeles. I'm the founder and creator of Barter and Be, which is an online community of female creatives exchanging essential goods and services without spending capital. And what that really means is we have a directory of over 600 members on a custom web application that was quite a journey to build, but so happy that we have that for our members. Which include, anything from photographers, web developers, graphic designers, attorneys, accountants, and these amazing female entrepreneurs and creatives. They essentially find each other and exchange their goods and services. And so it doesn't stop there, though. And that's part of what makes this platform so amazing. Once you have one happy barter, it leads to either another or paid opportunity. And we've added some really fun features on the platform. It's still in beta, but we've added some exciting features on the platform where you can actually toggle on and off paid opportunities, or you could, only do trade opportunities, or let's say you're on maternity and you're not open to any opportunities. We really want to shift the stigma around bartering and trading. It's how I built my other business, To the Moon Social, which is a digital social media agency. We're very much boutique. I have about 4 employees, so very much young in comparison to where Chris and his agency is at. So inspiring to hear from him. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about Barter and Be and To the Moon.
So it sounds like, do you have everything that people can barter? Do you have consumer products and services and everything?
So it's mainly services. It's a lot in the creative industry. Although we do have people that barter their actual rentals, whether it's for photo shoots, or are they trading photography, equipment. And so it's not your traditional bartering where, I'll give you a cooking class if you give me a guitar lesson. It can be that, but it's more around getting you the things you need for your business to succeed. So what do you need? You need a brand identity suite. You need a website. You need social media. So really getting you all those things that cost a lot of money these days, getting you those things so you're not having to spend your hard-earned money, especially when you're in that startup phase of making that jump from corporate to entrepreneurship, or corporate to turning that side hustle or side gig into your actual passion business. And so we really wanted to support these creatives and individuals that might not ask that question. Hey, instead of paying you $1,500 for this brand identity, how about I give you social media services at a $1,500 rate and trade at a dollar value that way? So really it's endless what you can come up with and what you can pitch to different members. We have an amazing chat system. It's honestly very similar to LinkedIn, except for it's, all application. So we vet everyone that's on the platform, and you can communicate on there. You can take it offline, but it's the safe space for these individuals to really trade and, build their business of their dreams.
So you mean I could barter our studio space for somebody to do some social media for me or something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Well, you ought to sign up for that. So
yeah. Yeah, really. So I'm just worried about the taxes. Is there a tax liability there?
Yeah, so we made sure to cover ourselves in that regard. So our attorney had put in a clause in our terms and conditions, essentially, to make it very clear that our members are responsible to submit their tax information themselves, that we as a company do not provide that service for them. Although that conversation as an entrepreneur, I learned so much, and I was like, oh, there could be an opportunity here where we do offer that as a service, and that just brings more value to the platform. So something that we're considering definitely in the future to take that, off the members' hands and reassure them that we have them covered. But as of right now, that's up to them to submit that information.
So how do you plan to market the website? Is it growing mostly by word of mouth, or are you doing a lot of advertising too?
Great question. So as of right now, everything on Barter and Be has been a word of mouth. So this is my second business venture. This is pretty much my baby. I'm obsessed with Barter and Be, live and breathe. And currently right now, we are not marketing at all. It's all word of mouth. We're building a custom referral system to launch in 2021. We'll be doing marketing in 2021. We have almost 13,000 followers on Instagram with Barter and Be. So we definitely leverage social media. We reach out to a lot of the members we think would be great on the platform, but we've also gotten really resourceful on word of mouth marketing, or being featured on podcasts, or connecting with companies like Create and Cultivate, because our customer really is their customer too. And there's so much that we can do together. So I've just gotten very creative on how we can find new members, and really, we don't technically turn people away, but if you're not quite ready, we do kind of coach you through on what you can do to get ready to apply, to be part of the community. So we have huge goals for 2021. And, obviously one of those big goals is marketing.
Did you trade with your brothers and sisters and friends a lot when you were a kid? Is that how this came out, or?
Honestly, not so much. I mean, I have been working since I was 14 in, corporate my whole life. I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in PDC, Georgia. I was like selling flowers apparently at 6 years old on the side of our street in Georgia, and always just hustling and trying to make money. So actually, I wasn't really trading. It wasn't until I moved to California 6 years ago. I ended up quitting a job in Costa Mesa, moving to Santa Monica in with a couple of friends. And I like to call it the LA starter kit is essentially what I picked up, which was I got into commercial, classes to do commercial acting. I was waiting tables. I'd left corporate. I was exploring different options out here because all of our friends at the time were in production. And so during that time, I had this aha moment because I felt very defeated. How do you start a business when you don't have any money? And so during that process, I had this aha moment of, I wonder if I could build a business completely just by using my skill set and services, which was marketing at the time. So I decided I'm going to test this out and see what I can do. And that's essentially what I did. I proved that I could essentially build a business without spending any money at all. So I started leveraging my network and saying, hey, I need, brand identity for my digital agency I'm going to launch. I need a website. Can I do your social media for the next 3 months? In return, maybe you could do this for me, right? And the amount of yeses I was getting, I was like, oh, this could really be helpful and useful for other people, not just myself.
It's been a part of my business for quite a while. We bought a building recently, not too far outside of New York City, and a friend of mine who does alarm systems and computer networking and some other things that are, tech oriented. He came to me and he said, Chris, I really need a website. I said, well, look, I just bought this building. Don't pay me for the website. We'll just work out a barter. And we did, and it worked out remarkably well. So I've had good experience with it. I guess my question is, what happens when it doesn't work out well?
This obviously, naturally is going to happen. We try our very best to coach and mentor through that process. So we ask our members to reach out to us immediately if and when they feel that the trade was not fair and it was not a happy barter. In that case, we just kind of facilitate the best that we can to give them as much advice. We even try to help them find any legal help that they may need in their state. It's never gotten, honestly, that bad. So we've had maybe like 4 unhappy barters submitted in the last 2 years, unless these individuals are doing it offline and they're kind of, handling it on their own. We've only had really 4 people come to us, and it'll be simply things like, and they're learning lessons. It'll be things like, oh, well, I trade my graphic design services for influencer shout outs, right? And the individual, let's say, didn't like the version 1 or version 2 and was requesting to make version 3. Well, that member didn't identify very clearly that with my trade, you only get 1 version or you only get 2 revisions, right? And so I think that the more clear and transparent you are with what you can offer, the less you can avoid those types of things. We also have downloadable contracts that members can use to hold one another accountable. So we try to give you as many resources and tools so you have a happy, successful trade. However, we're going to run up against that. It's only natural, I feel.
This has been Tara Tickaradze with barterandb.com. So if you are starting a business and need help and have help to give, it's the perfect place for you to go.
Yeah, my dentist has been bartering with his lawn service for the last 15 years. And I guess it's worked out pretty well for both of them. I just wonder if the lawn service guy's family has a lot of tooth problems versus a lot of weeds in the dentist office lawn. So anyway,
you're listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710, the Voice of New York. We'll be right back. Welcome back, listeners. You're listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710 with Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart.
And if you're new to the show, make sure you go and find our podcast. We're on all major podcast forums, as well as the iHeart app, which is got hundreds of millions of downloads by now, so you can hear the show there. And in addition, you can go to our YouTube channel and you can check out the live video there.
Right. So you can see what everybody looks like, and we splice in pictures of what they're talking about. And especially this next one, you're going to want to see a picture of it. And our YouTube channel is Passage to Profit Show. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're trying to build that up so that everybody gets the attention they deserve. Now we are on to our final presenter, who has a very cool and very timely product. I went on her website and I actually ordered one for my daughter who is in the healthcare field. It's called the After Mask. Her name is Jordan Bolabreck. Welcome, Jordan.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here and so excited to present you with the After Mask. I actually came up with the After Mask during quarantine with my family. It is always very interesting to be back home at 30 years old. And so while sitting around having dinner with my family, I was complaining about the acne, and as everyone calls it, maskne, that I was experiencing. The next day I started talking to my friends about it and actually realized that this was a common problem that a lot of people were experiencing. So I realized in that moment that I needed to create a mask for after the mask that you wear all day. And so ultimately I came up not only with the product, but with the name. What the product actually is it's a sheet mask that is specifically designed to hit your face, where your face mask that you wear all day for COVID hits your face. And ultimately this face mask covers your nose, your cheeks, and right over your mouth. Obviously you're still able to drink water and talk. But it soothes and cleanses the area of your face that has been under the face mask all day. And basically what it's used for is it's used to rejuvenate the skin. And so I created this product in order to be worn by men, women. I recommend it for 18 or older, maybe once or twice a week, and it will really help your skin to rehydrate, rejuvenate, and really come back to life after wearing that face mask all day.
Wow, that just blows my mind. Now we have two masks instead of one. So obviously, do you have something that just goes over the bridge of your nose? Because that's really where I get all my irritation.
Yes, I know. I feel the same. I do get a lot of irritation there, and I also get a lot of irritation here, but I've gotten a lot of fantastic feedback so far that the shape of the mask itself and the amount of serum that's in it, people can actually use it on the remainder of their face and their skin as well. But it's sort of a spa treatment at the end of the day. I know that no one wants to wear a mask longer than they have to. So this is actually just something that you can do and to relax and enjoy with your family members or close friends that are, COVID restrictions free.
So does it help plump out those deep lines that people get where the mask is like sitting kind of embedded in their face a little bit?
And the way that I actually created the formula with my manufacturer was that it has a number of different functions. So it'll help with your mask acne with the hyaluronic acid that it has within it. It'll help with dryness. And it'll also help with like chamomile and some aqua. And then it'll also help with irritation, which is those lines that you get within your face. And so the ingredients that we really put into the serum of the mask will help bring the skin back to life, because a lot of the skin has a lot of red marks on it after you wear your mask all day. And particularly you see healthcare workers who have actually have those dents in their faces. And this will actually help to soothe the skin back to life. I can't say that it'll maybe get rid of the lines quicker, but it'll soothe them out a little bit easier.
Well, I just had a couple of questions. So
Yeah.
Obviously it sounds like you're a startup because you just kind of started this during COVID. And I was reading something on Tata's site. It says around 2% of venture capital funding is allotted to female founders, which is pretty low. So where are you in that phase of, venture capitaling, and what are your needs during this time?
Yeah, so actually my entire business is family funded. So my business is come from my brother, my mom, and my dad. We actually started a business about 8 months ago. We actually started a family business, which is an early childhood development app. And so this business, we knew we needed to get out quickly. We needed to get to the market as soon as possible. So what we ended up doing was figuring out what our costs were, and if it was possible for us to actually market that and bring in our own personal money in order to make it possible. Something that I would love to do in the future, if this could really take off, it would be to get that venture money. But right now we're focusing on our own personal money.
So what are your sales like?
Yeah, so we are only live 2 months. And so the idea from idea to conception, from the idea in my kitchen with my family to the product coming to life on October 16th, so exactly 2 months ago today, we actually were able to we've sold over 5,500 masks. And so we're very excited about it. And we've been doing a really great job, but not only are we selling masks, but we're also donating masks as well. And something that I really like that Chris talked about is how you're donating to profits and organizations that you actually really care about. And actually, I'm from New York, my family's from New York, and so we focus a lot on the New York City hospitals and donating to those nurses there. Luckily, we have a lot of family friends who are nurses in those hospitals. But one of the reasons why we're so focused on New York City hospitals is because I had emergency brain surgery there 5 years ago. And so we were forever grateful to Weill Cornell for what they did for me to save my life all those years ago. And so we have actually partnered with their neurology unit and their emergency medicine unit to actually give those nurses on staff and those doctors on staff this aftermath.
I can feel your entrepreneurial vibe, and certainly the creative juices flow when you're in that creation mode. I love that part of creating and creating products, and I've created a couple. So I was thinking about Halo Life, which is a client of ours. They've really generated ROI through Facebook advertising for their masks, and their masks are really very, very, very nice. But they have donated from day one. For every order placed on their website, they donate a mask to somebody in need, and they're addressing youth, the homeless population, and frontline caregivers. Those are the 3 buckets that they give to. They give to a number of different charities. They've given to Boys and Girls Clubs, Salvation Army, and others. But I really also was thinking not only Facebook ads for you, but also influencers, and utilizing them to and really that just would entail in many instances just sending them free product. And then of course there are the paid influencers as well. But start with the ones just looking for free product samples, so you don't have to spend money on their posts. But they'll put it, if they're a blogger, they'll put it on their blog, but they'll also share on Instagram or on Facebook or Twitter. And sometimes their social followings are pretty sizable.
We're either considering donating mask for mask. We're actually considering donating our mask for their mask if they buy a mask, or we're considering donating to a COVID-19 charity. And so we actually are thinking about actually focusing more on donating to hospitals. And, it's one of those things where I would love to do it from the beginning, but I didn't know if anyone would even like it. So now that we see that people are actually enjoying it and really, are engaged into it, and honestly, the comment about understanding what it is, Elizabeth has been amazing to me and is just so thankful for that. I'm definitely very interested in bringing this to be a charitable opportunity.
Don't forget your IP too.
We trademarked the name. We have trademarked the name, the Aftermask, internationally, and we own the formula. Unfortunately, we can't patent the shape of the mask because you'd have to patent the underlying portion of the mask. But that was an international patent process that I did go through. And honestly, understanding and bartering with the attorney that I used, I actually did barter a bit of time because we did send them products afterwards and highlighted them, in different ways on our social media. And so we did a little bit of bartering there, and my dad was helpful in terms of him being like, I can help you with stock ideas. Can you help my daughter with this? So I think that, family is everything. And so family's been super supportive of bringing this product to life for me.
I could also make a comment too for Jordan that don't forget about after COVID, because medical, they use masks all the time. Other areas use masks all the time. So you want to think what your future looks like. We have a
Wow.
client who has skyrocketed, and I'll actually probably introduce you to them. But they've skyrocketed because of COVID with their PPE product. But they're working with us to look at what happens afterwards, because you've got to look at what your future looks like.
How long do you wear it for?
You wear it for 20 to 30 minutes, and the mask itself can stay on your face while you're walking around, cooking dinner, watching TV. So it can be any part of your evening.
You said, I know what you said, it's hydrating, but is there a like a bacterial component to it that kills bacteria?
So the hyaluronic acid is a small component of it, which will help with the acne. That portion we've noticed in a lot of different test runs that we've had is that it helps with acne that is about to form, and then it takes it down from there. And it also helps with those after scars, and just so that it doesn't spread, because a lot of the times what happens with mask acne is you're putting on the same mask every day, and so it's spreading those bacteria around your face. And so this helps soothe those areas that have already kind of popped up.
Have you thought about getting a distribution partner in Asia where they wear masks regardless of the pandemic because of environmental considerations, pollution, for instance?
Yeah. So right now we're only selling in the United States. And the reason why is because we only follow FDA regulations for the United States cosmetic laws. But we're looking to go internationally, and our manufacturer is in South Korea. So we actually follow both South Korean and the United States FDA regulations. So that's an absolutely fabulous idea, because we actually went to South Korea because we knew that they make the best sheet masks on the market, and they would know best how to actually formulate the mask.
Well, thank you very much, Jordan. It was fantastic hearing about your product, and anything we can do to make these masks more tolerable is a step forward for humanity, in my opinion. So thank you very much and how can people find your masks again?
So the masks are sold on Instagram on our handle at @the_aftermask. And they're also sold through our website, theaftermask.com. And so you can easily just buy it on there, and you can buy single packs or a pack of 5.
Well, thank you for joining us. And this is Passage to Profit. We'll be back with more right after this message.
Well, welcome back, listeners. You're listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710, the voice of New York. What a show.
What a show. We were doing all sorts of things tonight. We were social bartering, or we were social causing, we were bartering, we were mask face improving, and we were entrepreneur promoting. So, and not only that, we heard from Kenya, who was talking about the people behind the people that make this world work. So
right. So to recap, Chris Rosica, really, if you don't know what cause marketing is, listen to the podcast tomorrow or check out Chris's site, because it is what people are using to be successful in business today, quite honestly. And his website is www.rosica.com. So I urge you to go there and find out what we're talking about, the cause marketing.
Doing well by doing good.
And then if you're thinking of starting something, or you've started something and you're running into some roadblocks or not really sure, and maybe you need some of the structure that you had from corporate, or just figure out how to do things the right way, Michelle Ricketts can really help you with that. She is with Cohesion Services, part of Wardell International. She's in Vancouver.
Learn the pieces of your business and master them all, and you will be a success.
Exactly. And so you can find her on LinkedIn, and you spell her name MICHELLEMRICKETTS, Michelle M. Ricketts. So look for her on LinkedIn. She's with Cohesion Services, so you'll see that on her LinkedIn profile.
There's nothing better than cohesion, by the way.
Yes. And then we had, for the whole bartering universe, I had no idea the bartering universe was so huge. But if you want to barter with somebody, there's now a place to go to find vetted people you can barter your services with. It's very cool. It's called Barter and Be, and Tata Tickaradze presented that.
No better place to barter.
No. And then if you or someone that you know has to wear a mask for a long time, and really like the top half of their face looks great and the bottom, well, I'm just kidding. But really, seriously, the aftermask.com, Jordan Bollebrook has created a spa treatment for the part of your face that's covered by the mask that'll help hopefully bring it back to look like the rest of your face after 12 hours. I know our daughter works 12-hour shifts at a hospital, and I ordered her one.
It's like slipping into a pair of slippers for your face at the end of the day.
That's good. Exactly. So, and Kenya Gibson, who quite honestly, she is the one who is like the creative behind Passage to Profit. She brought us the idea, and she's at iHeart. You spell her name, Kenya Gibson, with a P. And it's Kenya Gibson at iHeartMedia. You should talk to Kenya if you want to advertise, because advertising on the radio is very effective, and it's less expensive than you might think, and less expensive than other options. And they have digital marketing.
And yeah, I was just going to say the same thing, that they have digital marketing. We've been using it now for years, and it's made a huge impact on our business. So heavily recommend iHeart Digital Marketing Services.
Through Kenya.
And before we go, though, I'd like to thank our fantastic producer, Noah Fleischman. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and also on our YouTube channel.
Yes,
so
follow us on our YouTube
channel.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Subscribe to it. Do it several times if you can. And you're listening to Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt on Passage to Profit on iHeartRadio, WOR 710, the voice of New York.